Today, we are tackling a puzzle that gets right to the very heart of your own experience. It's all about what you're doing this very second, seeing. But as we're about to find out, it is not nearly as simple as you might think. So I want you to just look at this screen for a second. You see colors, you see shapes, maybe some light reflecting off of it. But are you seeing the screen directly? Or is your mind showing you something else entirely? That's the big question we're diving into. Our gut feeling, our common sense, tells us that we see the world exactly as it is, that there's absolutely nothing standing between our eyes and reality. But let's poke at that idea a little bit. What if our perception, which feels so immediate and so real, is actually an illusion of directness? Okay, here's a good way to think about it. When you look at a digital image, you aren't directly seeing a person or a landscape, are you? No, you're seeing millions of teeny tiny colored dots. Pixels. Your brain takes all those dots and then it infers the image. Well, the theory we're exploring today suggests your perception of the real world works in a very, very similar way. So if we aren't seeing the world directly, then what exactly are we seeing? Well, philosophers have a name for these little pixels of our perception, these mental middlemen. They call them sense data. To really get this, we got to bring in a key idea from a giant of 20th century philosopher, Bertrand Russell. He talked about something called knowledge by acquaintance. Now, this is the most raw, the most direct kind of awareness you can possibly have. It's knowing something without any reasoning or filtering getting in the way. It's just there. And here is where it all clicks into place. According to Russell, the only things we have this direct knowledge by acquaintance with are our own experiences, the raw data from our senses. And these are sense data. So you're not actually acquainted with a physical apple. You're acquainted with a specific patch of red, the feeling of smoothness, that particular sweet smell. Those things exist in your mind. This comparison breaks it down perfectly. On the left, you've got what you're directly aware of, the sense data of a bird, a flash of blue, a specific chirping sound. And on the right, that's what you infer from all that data, the actual physical bird out there in the world. According to this whole theory, you never directly experience the bird itself, only the data it generates inside your head. Now, I know this probably sounds a little strange. You're likely thinking, what are you talking about? Of course I see the real bird. So how do philosophers even argue for this? Well, they use this really powerful thought experiment, what you could call the smoking gun for the existence of sense data. Let's just walk through the logic here. Step 1. Imagine you're looking at a beautiful green field. Got it? Okay. Step 2. Now imagine you're having a perfect hallucination of that exact same field. From your point of view, the experience is completely identical. You can't tell them apart. So, step 3. If the experience is the same, then what you are directly aware of must also be the same in both cases. But, and this is the kicker, in the hallucination, there's no physical field. And that leads to the really wild conclusion that what you're seeing can't be physical. It must be something mental. And that mental object, well, that's a sense datum. Okay, so if we accept that we only ever directly perceive sense data, even when we're having a totally normal perception, it leads to a pretty shocking and frankly unsettling conclusion about our connection to reality. What this does is it creates a huge problem. See, you've got the external world out there, filled with physical objects. And you've got your mind, the thing doing the perceiving. But now, right in between them, there's this barrier, a veil made of sense data. And you never get to peek behind this curtain to see the physical world directly for yourself. The implication here is massive. It means we are, essentially, locked inside our own minds. Everything we think of as the outside world is really just a representation, a movie playing inside our heads, built entirely from this internal sense data. And this creates a classic problem for knowledge, something philosophers call skepticism. It's that deep, profound doubt that we can ever be truly certain about anything outside of our own experience. I mean, if there's a permanent veil between us and the world, how can we be sure there's even a world there at all? So let me put the question directly to you. Just look around the room you're in right now. Every single color, every shape, every sound you perceive is, according to this theory, a sense datum. If that's all you've ever known directly, how could you possibly prove, with 100% certainty, what's causing it all? Look, this isn't just some abstract game for philosophers to play.
This puzzle forces us to confront some of the most fundamental questions there are about what it means to know something, what reality even is, and what the real relationship is between our minds and the world we think we live in.
All right, so let's just bring it all together. We started off by questioning if our perception is direct, and we found out it might not be. Instead, we may only ever be experiencing these mental things called sense data. And this idea creates a veil between our minds and reality, forcing us to ask a really profound question. What can we really know for sure? And that leaves us with one final, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If the reality you experience every single day is constructed out of these mental building blocks called sense data, then who or what is the architect? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.